Well, hello and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori and I'm your host. And today we have a long overdue guest. I feel like I talked about this junior golfer in like my third episode of Tea Time when we started Tea Time about a year and a half ago. And that's because I had just played with her at the Arizona State Match Play. We have Ashley Shaw here.
Thank
Hi,
you
Ashley.
for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, so long overdue. And I think that I had messaged you, texted you like a year ago,
Yes.
and it's just, you're so busy.
Yeah.
My schedule's kind of hectic sometimes, so I'm so grateful that this worked out today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
And then we have your mom here, Sylvia. Which, Sylvia, you had to be here. You're on the bag. You're her coach.
Always on the bag, yes.
And you're her mother.
Yes.
And her biggest support system, as long as her dad, too. Along with her dad, who's sitting behind the scenes. But maybe he'll pop in later in the episode. But again, hi, Ashley.
Hi.
You have
It's
had,
been so long.
It's been so long.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. You have had quite a spring. You have. And I want to start there, and then we'll kind of rewind and see where it all started, too. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Okay, so you made your LPGA debut
I did.
at the Founders Cup.
Yes.
Tell us how you got in, and just go from start to finish that whole experience, because what a whirlwind it must have been.
It was crazy. So I actually played in a John Shippen Cognizant Cup invitational event there. It was the Monday, so like 3 days before the first round of the event. And I was the only amateur in the field. There was 8 people, 7 professionals. I was the only amateur. And my mom, bless her heart, out there carrying that tour bag for all those holes. She did it. We made it through. And I really didn't have any expectations. I told my mom, I was like, if I can shoot a score between even and 2 over today, I'll be, because the course was in fantastic conditions, but we were playing from the tips on almost every hole. And so I was playing from distances, like par 4s over 400 yards. And that's crazy. And so I just went out there and I shot 1 over, which I was extremely happy about, because I was, like I said, even 2 over. I'm right in the middle, so I was happy about that. And I ended up qualifying. I did not know where I was on the leaderboard the whole time, because I didn't know they were doing live scoring. So we had no idea. I think my dad knew, but he didn't tell us. So I didn't have any idea. I get to scoring, the rules official's like, oh, you're tied for the lead. I'm tied for what lead? I'm like, what are you talking
Where
about?
am I?
Right. And he's like, okay. And I watched the final group, and I was like, I just qualified for an LPGA event. Like, that's crazy. And
So you knew that the winner was going to qualify. And was it just the winner, or
Just the winner.
Ties?
No.
Did you have to go into a playoff?
If there was a playoff, if there was a tie, I'd do a playoff. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So they said I was the lowest score, and I was like, this is surreal. Like, I can't believe this is all happening. And the emotions just came over me as soon as I realized it happened. And that week was fantastic. I mean, I have my own locker in the locker room, which I thought was so cool.
No, it is.
The credentials to get into all of the backstage things, to get into the clubhouse, the player dining, all that stuff, and no one's stopping me to get in there. Like, you would expect someone to like, oh, excuse me, like, you can't go. No, they were like, oh, okay, come on through. And that was just, that was crazy. Yeah.
Okay, wait, let's back up a little bit. Sylvia, now you're just talking about your mom having to carry the bag.
Yeah.
Now you're usually probably using a push cart.
Usually she pushes her own cart, actually. I don't even push the cart. I'm like, we get that straight in the beginning. I'm out there to help her, but I don't even push the cart.
Yeah.
And I don't really want her pushing it.
No, and she doesn't.
Yeah. So how was that? I mean, you obviously had certain expectations going into the event. All you wanted to do was shoot, the score you had in mind, but you kind of knew it was going to be tough competition, really good course.
Oh, yeah.
You just had level expectations. So how were you during that experience to where it's like, wait, what? We're going to be playing in the Founders Cup next week?
Yes. And again, I didn't know that they were doing the scoring either. So I was just focused on carrying the bag probably more than anything, because it was heavy.
Yeah.
So focused on that, trying to help her, helping her make decisions. And she actually came back and told me, about her place on the board. And I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. And then when the last putt dropped, I was like, is this really happening for her at 15 years old? And it was just unreal.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the locker, which I totally get. So I have qualified for one USGA Mid-Am, and I remember when I went in there, and there was a locker for me, and there's stuff inside, and you're like, and there's like player dining, and you're like, wait, am I a player? What am I doing here? Like, am I dining with them? Like, do I have to? Like, what's going on? No, so I totally get like the pomp and circumstance of it all. It's like it's like, wow, okay. So when that all came down, when it was like, okay, now it's time to like gear up to play, what was your preparation like for that short couple days in between the event you qualified in and leading up to the Founders Cup?
So one of the great things that I didn't know you could do this with events, because this is not a traditional event, LPGA event. You can go out and play, let's say like 9 holes, and then take a break and come back and play 9, and no one's going to say anything to you.
No.
So I had a lot of media that day on the Tuesday after. So I played 6 holes. I think I played with Lydia Ko and Gina Kim, which was so cool. So I played 6 holes with them. And then I left, did a couple interviews and things like that. And then I came back out, finished the front 9 after that. Next day, I could only practice because I didn't get into the Pro-Am, which I thought was kind of funny because they were like, you might get into the Pro-Am. I'm an AM. How is this going to work? This would be interesting. So that was kind of funny to me. So I just practiced that day. I just did my normal type of, warm up and preparation for the event like I usually do. And
A lot of time on the putting green.
a lot of time on the putting green because those are some nice greens.
Yeah.
I haven't played some greens that nice in a long time. So.
And rolling, when you say really nice greens, just rolling really fast.
They were fast and smooth. The lines were true to their, like wherever you saw it breaking, it was right there.
Yeah.
And that was just crazy to me, and I loved it. Yeah.
So that first 6 holes that you played with Lydia Ko in the practice round, and I'm sorry, who was the third?
Gina Kim.
Was there anything that surprised you about their own preparation or how they were hitting the ball, or anything from watching TV to actually seeing it right there in front of you?
I think the biggest difference for me when it came to practice rounds is how many shots they hit. Yeah. Because, and with there being so many different pin placements as well. For a lot of the events I play, it's either 2 or 3 days, and you're hitting tee off, one shot to the green, 2 to 3 putts, you're done.
Yeah.
But they would hit approach shots to day 1's pin, day 2's pin, 4, 3, all those different shots around the greens, chipping, putting. They would hit 15 shots to 1 pin placement and do that 4 times. And so I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, so I can do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go ahead and do that too. So that was different for me. And so watching them do that, their preparation was a lot different than anything I've ever seen for a practice round. So seeing that, I tried to learn from that. I also tried to keep pace with them because I was concerned I was going to be too slow. But then I'm watching, I'm like, so we're all slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't concerned with that. They had a plan.
Yeah, and I said, okay, so let me try to copy some of the things they're doing. They do this every week. This is my first time doing this, so let me try to copy them as best as I can and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay, then leading up to the first round, what kind of game plan did you have? What were you guys talking about at dinner the night before? Like what?
Well, one of the things, Ashley's getting really improving a lot with course management. So one of the things she said as we were going through the round, and even in the qualifier, she said, Mom, I don't want to use my driver. She said the fairways are tree lined, and I think I have enough distance with the clubs I have in my bag, being able to take out the driver. So that was probably one of the main things. She knew she'd have longer irons in, but she just felt more comfortable taking the driver out. And that was actually something that she got asked when they were talking to her media-wise. They had zoomed in on her bag, and they were like, she doesn't have any, she doesn't have a driver in her bag. So they were really interested in why she didn't have a driver in. And it was her decision. It was her call, and, you got to go with what the player is most comfortable with. So,
absolutely.
As I've learned as a caddy.
Yeah. Well, and that takes a lot of discipline because you hit the ball a mile. So when you have the driver in the bag and you're hitting it in the fairway, that's a huge advantage.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay, then round 1. How was that first tee box jitters?
First tee box, I am thinking to myself, can I just please hit the fairway? And there's like 100 people at this tee box staring at me, and there's like 50 cameras right here.
Well, I'm sure the listener listening thinks the same thing when no one else is watching. It's like that first tee box. We're on any tournament, maybe even their first ladies league day. They're like, please hit the fairway, please hit the don't top the ball, don't top the ball, don't top the ball.
Yeah. So in my mind, I was like, if I can just hit the fairway. And I'm someone, because I want to be an actor one day. So like when I'm done playing golf, I like to act, sing, all those types of things. So it was funny because in my mind, I often envision stuff, even if it's not actually happening. So when I'm doing something, I'll imagine if someone was narrating it when I'm doing it. So in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Ashley Shaw on the tee, 15 years old, about to hit her first tee shot in her first LPGA event. Does she hit the fairway? And I hit the fairway in my mind, like, she hit the fairway. So that's like in my mind. I just kind of have fun with it. And I hit the tee shot. I'm in the middle of the fairway, and I have like 70 yards into the green. I hit the green. I get on the green 2-putt. I'm like, I just parred my first hole in LPGA.
That
Like,
must have been
all right, we're done. We can leave now. We're good. So that was crazy.
Now, how were your expectations going into that round, though? Like, did you have a goal, or did you just want to soak it all in and be present?
At that point, my biggest thing, I was there for the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm playing in an LPGA event, like, not everyone gets that opportunity. So at that point, I was going out there having as much fun as I could and learning as much as I could, because there's things that I learned there you can't learn in a book. And so competing against the best, playing with the best. I think I played with one of the ladies that I think ended up getting 4th, I think, overall. So even seeing how she's doing what she's doing on the course, it's things I could never learn.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's fast forward. Now you played your 2 rounds, and I think, was one of them raining that day?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
worst.
That was Friday. Yeah.
I mean, us Arizona golfers. We
Yes. Like, what is this wet
Oh
stuff?
my God! How do I swing with this rain suit on?
Yes.
We don't do well in the rain. So, what did you learn after those 2 amazing days playing in the LPG event? What did you learn that you couldn't learn otherwise?
I think the biggest thing I learned is, one, they often only show the good shots on TV. But seeing how those professionals handle when they don't hit the good shots, when they miss the green from, let's say, 150 out, and seeing how they keep themselves composed, and even what they do from their next shot, the creativity that they have, even their interactions with their caddies, how I can interact with my caddy in a better way so we can work together better. So things like that were definitely really important things that I learned, and you can't learn those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Sylvia, what did you learn?
I definitely learned more about caddying.
Yeah.
I definitely did.
What's something that you learned that you're like, of course,
and it's probably small things like how to hold the flag now. Even when we're out on the course, I hold the flag differently.
Yeah.
Just watching how they did that, how they, and Ashley and I worked together with reading putts and making decisions. So that part was already good. But even like where they stand, where they put the bag as they progress to the next hole.
I learned to put the bag on the right side of the tee box every time. I didn't know that.
It's things like
little
that.
things like that.
Yeah, and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, okay, I should do this or I should do that. Trying to stay out of the way. And even one of the caddies, he was so kind, but he would often tell me, can you scoot this way or scoot that way? And so I became very mindful of where I was standing. On the in and around the green. So.
Sylvia, do you think it's fair to say that you might have been more nervous than Ashley was that day?
I actually think I was not nervous. I told the only thing that she's ever done that's made me nervous, oddly enough, is drive, chip, and putt. When she's participating, that's the only, nothing at tournaments don't make me nervous. Drive, chip, and putt always made me nervous.
Really?
And I think it was because I knew that she only had a certain amount of time to qualify for it, which unfortunately she never qualified for drive, chip, and putt. But, that's the only thing. But tournaments don't really make me nervous.
Make you nervous.
No, just drive, chip, and putt.
Let's talk about results then, and how your relationship is with results. What your relationship is and what your mom's is.
So for me, when I go out and play in an event, it's not about getting the trophy at the end. It's not about the wins or the scores, all that stuff. If I can walk away learning something and being better than I was when I showed up, that's a win for me. So even if I don't come home with the big trophy or the biggest prize or the exemptions, all that stuff, it matters to me, but the bigger win to me is when I've learned and I've walked away with more information than I came with.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, such a good relationship with them. Oh my God, we can learn so much from that, seriously, because that is what it's all about.
Yeah.
Sylvia, how about you?
So with results, what we're working on holistically is focusing on the process. Let the results take care of themselves. They're going to be what they're going to be, but did you stick to the process and the plan, or did you get emotional? Did you, the thing with Ashley, I tell her, don't get too high, don't get too low, just stick with the process.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are. And in terms of results, let them take care of themselves.
Yeah.
So that way we don't even get emotional about results.
How would you guys define the process? Like, what does that mean to you? Does it actually mean, your pre-shot routine to the shot to your post-shot routine, or is it everything from getting ready in the morning to dissecting your round at night? Like, what does the process mean to you?
So when I kind of think of the process, it's kind of two things. You mentioned the course, and then also before you get to the course. Before you get to the course, I think my process is usually for me, I don't really like eating breakfast. It's kind of a weird thing. I
don't either.
Yeah, I just don't like eating breakfast before like 8. And
Yeah.
when at 8 o'clock is when it hits me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I should eat something. But if my round is 7:30, I probably won't eat anything in the morning. And so, but having the process to make sure I have enough snacks, make sure I have water, make sure I freeze the water. Summertime, you got to freeze the water the night before so you have cold water for the next day.
Absolutely.
And then when I get to the course, going through, my putting process is going through my drills that I do before I start doing the same things so I can get myself mentally prepared and ready for what I have to do for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I would say for the process, I'm thinking more of, we have our yardage book. We know where we want to land the ball. Did we take risks, or did we stick to, what we said we were going to do? Is she sticking to the mechanic? And that's one of the reasons I always tell her, don't let the emotions come out, because to me, I feel like it gets in your swing, it gets in your head, it gets into everything. So just making sure, with my putting, like keeping my head quiet, going down my line, those things. Focus more on, am I doing the technique properly? If I missed the putt, I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but exactly.
Again, not focusing on the outcome, but just, did I do my mechanic right? Did I do the things that I can control, and the results are the results?
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the beginning. So let's reverse back, and then we'll probably get our way back to where we were just talking. How did you get into golf? How did this all, at what age, and what was your inspiration? Because obviously she did not do it alone.
No.
So she must have had some pushing along the way.
So I first picked up a club when I was 7, but before 7, I had done pretty much every sport you can think of. I swam, I played tennis. Actually, no, I didn't play tennis at that point. I started tennis and golf at the same time.
Yeah.
But I swam, I played volleyball, I danced, I did tap and ballet, and gymnastics. I always wanted to do soccer, but I couldn't ever get to soccer.
Yeah.
Soccer was the one
Yeah.
sport I really wanted to do. But I did pretty much every sport before then. And at 7, my dad, he came home from a garage sale, and he had a set of clubs. And it was like a little set, but we still have the set.
Little US Kids.
US Kids set, pink and black set of clubs. I think it had a driver, a 7-iron, a pitching wedge, and a putter. And I just...
That's all you needed.
Yeah, that's all I needed in life. It was just those 4 clubs. And so I started hitting around in the yard. He taught me what he knew, and we just had fun. We'd go out to Palm Valley down the street, and we'd hit a couple shots there. And at that point, we often did it together. So we would go and play 9 holes together, and I just had so much fun. And I started playing tournaments at 8, which a lot of people think is crazy.
Yeah, so 1 year.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. So I don't think it even was a year. I think it was summer, because I started in September of 2016, and so it was like July of 2017 when I played my first event. And I had so much fun. And I remember when my first tee shot went, and it was there where I learned to take a drop. I knew what a drop meant. And it was the most fabulous thing. It was so much fun to me. I was like, okay, I'm taking a drop. And back then it was shoulder lead, so we're dropping it up here. But I started playing tournaments then. I started playing a lot more competitive events around 9, 10 years old. I started to kind of win a little bit more, try to hit my stride, and that was around 10, 11 is when I realized like, this is something I really want to do. So I kind of dropped everything else that I was doing and just started playing golf. And it was really during COVID when I really started to just like golf is what I'm going to do. Because
Yeah.
before then, it was kind of tennis was a little higher than golf. But during COVID, you can't go to a tennis court
Yeah.
because you have to find someone else to hit with, and that's just not,
Yeah.
can't really do
It wasn't
that.
that easy.
Right.
Yeah.
So golf was the golf course, one place I could go and be by myself with my mom, my dad, and we could just go out and not have to be too close to anyone and all that type of stuff. So we did that, and I started playing in a few more events traveling. So I think my first traveling event I went to was in California. So we started going there a lot more. And now I have been to so many states, I can't even count how many I've been to. I actually just went to London for an event about 2 weeks ago, which was super fun. The competition there was amazing. And I've just gotten to travel and go to so many different events and play. And golf has given me a lot of opportunities I never would have imagined myself even having the chance to do when I was 7, hitting shots in the backyard. Like that, just I'm 7 years old, you tell me when you're 15 you're going to play in your first LPGA event. I was like, okay, all right. Sure.
And I mean, events aside, golf is a sport where you travel and you play these beautiful courses, and you're able to visit towns and places in almost a different way.
Yes.
You know, and you're like able to really engage in the town with playing with the players there, and it is an amazing sport. But
I always say you never know who you're going to meet at the tee box, and we have met so many people just at our home course. Stepping up to the tee, and it's, hi, I'm so and so, and some of these people we still either through social media or see them out and about, and still keep in contact with them, all because you can hit a golf ball.
And you spend 4 hours with
I
them.
wouldn't have met you.
Absolutely.
Not at
a
all.
golfer.
No, I'm so grateful for it. So Sylvia, okay, did you have a love for golf when Ashley started playing? Was Doc going out and playing golf and he had to have Ashley start playing to have a buddy? What was it all about?
No, Ashley's all, and I've always told her she drives the train.
Yeah.
The golf train. It's her, and as long as she wants to keep going, mom and dad are going to support her 100%. I mean, when I think about my experience growing up with golf, it put me to sleep. I would turn golf on Sundays, and that was my cue to take a nap.
Oh, yeah.
Growing up, that's just the way I felt. Now it's totally different, and just watching her grow and develop as a player, now I could watch it all day, literally. And sometimes most nights I'm up late at night watching whatever the LPGA or PGA tournaments that are on. I'm watching, trying to glean knowledge, information, and understanding so that I can better help her.
Yeah. Could you tell pretty early that she had a knack for it? Like, was her swing pretty natural? And
Yes.
she obviously has the power, and probably because you were playing all those sports.
Yes. And Ashley, pretty much everything she played, she was really good at. Volleyball, it was funny. We'd go to the YMCA. She wanted, what were you, like 7?
7 or 8.
She wanted to do an overhand serve at 7. Who does that?
I know.
But I played volleyball in school, so we'd go to the local YMCA, and she would just hit balls
My
up
brother
against the
was
wall.
a referee for basketball,
Yeah.
so while he would do that, I would just be in the little racquetball area, and I would just
Just
practice
hit
for
balls,
hours.
hitting them.
She's
hitting
just
them.
an athlete.
And she
can't
just
hold her
giggle
back.
and laugh and run around, and I'm in this room and I'm just, I've got my chair and I'm just sitting watching her.
Yep.
Is that good, Mom? And that's what we would do. So she's always just had good coordination, hand-eye coordination, movement, and just a lot comes natural, but just she definitely is a hard worker at those things that she wants to do. We won't even go there with tennis. I told her I do not want to be on the other side of the net from her anymore. It's ruthless.
brutal.
I mean, you've seen her hit a driver.
No,
The
totally.
serve on
I can
the serve
only
on the
imagine.
tennis racket is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So.
Oh my God, are you still playing tennis at all anymore, or did you have to totally hang up the racket?
No, I don't. I hadn't hung it up yet.
Okay.
I definitely enjoy getting out there when
Yeah.
I can. It's hard to balance the time being on the golf course and also going out on the tennis court, but I brought my rackets to London because I was like, I'm gonna find a court to go play there.
Oh my God, I love that.
I
love that.
still love going out there. I definitely want to get back to playing in tournaments again, but right now
It's golf.
It's golf. Right now, but
Now, Sylvia, was Ashley mostly self-taught? Is she still self-taught? How did that whole process go? When did you get a coach?
Early on, she had a coach for a little bit, but then as she got older, Ashley is homeschooled. So once she transitioned to around middle school, the demands of education, because that's always 1st, and the time it would take us to travel back and forth, it became not as practical for us to be able to spend that much time, traveling and going to the course and coming back. So eventually it came to a point where it was like, she wants to still golf, we've got to figure it out. And so, Mom, can you figure it out?
Yeah. And so you've been coaching her along the way?
Yes.
And I mean, she has a beautiful swing.
Well, thank you.
Do you question yourself sometimes? Like, do I need to get a coach? When does that, or
Other people question.
Yeah, but you're confident in it.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. Because, for her, when she listens, she has the desire to be great at this sport.
Yeah,
So as long as you have the desire, I'm willing to put in the work to make sure she knows and has the things that she needs to be successful. So no, I don't doubt or second guess. It's just keep working.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just keep going.
Ashley, would you define yourself as a student of the game? Are you always like trying to take in as much as possible?
I would consider my mom more of a student. I do what I'm told.
Yeah.
So, she studies it, she figures it out, she tells me, I listen, and then I go and do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I consider myself.
Yeah.
I definitely love watching and going out and seeing the best doing it, but she's more of the one to go and be like, that was interesting. How did they do that? I'm just going to say, great shot. But she's the one, how did they do that? That's interesting. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how do you balance it all, Sylvia? With 3 other, you have 2 sons and another daughter, right?
Yes.
So 4.
They're all out of the house though. They're
they
all
are.
yes.
They're on their own.
Yes, there's
okay,
an 8-year gap between Ashley and the next
Okay.
closest.
So you're able to give Ashley more undivided attention.
She's been the only one at home now
Since I was 9.
Yeah, so quite a few years. So
Ashley, are your siblings just as athletic as you are?
One is.
One was he can flip on the spot. He's a gymnast and a cheerleader, so he can just stand right there and do a backflip. He's done backflips in hotels before.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
I love
so he can do all the flips and stuff, and I just always imagine that in my head, myself doing that. And I'm like, I can do that. Yeah.
So the older 2 were gymnasts, and then my youngest son, he wasn't too much interested in gymnastics.
I have one
or
too.
anything.
Yeah. My youngest is, poor kid, he's just not that coordinated, but he's really smart.
There you go. And she started with gymnastics just because the older ones were coaches and everything. But
my
obviously,
siblings actually coached me for a while.
Yeah, they did.
Gymnastics.
But her sister's like 5'1", and Ashley's like 5'10". So Ashley quickly outgrew those uneven bars, and it was not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. What players have you been looking up to in these past couple of years when you've been competing?
I think a lot of times, for me, I don't really watch golf as much. So I often look at the history of golf. So knowing different people who have done great things, they may not play today, but knowing the people like, the Althea Gibsons, the John Shippens, people like them who have done great things in the game of golf that people may not know today, but if you do your research and you look up those people who actually have been game changers in the game of golf, those are the people who I tend to look up to when it comes to the game of golf.
Yeah. And Sylvia, as a coach, who inspires you?
Coach-wise?
Yeah.
Again, I feel like, just learning the game, I don't know anyone who's tried to do this exactly like we have. I mean, we don't have any other.
Paving your own road.
So I don't really have, and Ashley and I were talking a little bit about this earlier because, again, being homeschooled, even with my kids, I always let them work at the level they were capable of. So if you're 8 and you can do algebra, then I'm not going to hold you back.
Yeah.
So I've never looked to try to find someone who's doing it exactly like I'm doing it, because I never imagined a child like this before, and that I would be trying to help her become a golfer. I mean, I did dance and, cheered, but golf, again,
Yeah.
just totally was not on my radar
Yeah.
at all.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And you, Ashley, are a true ambassador of the sport. What does growing the game mean to you?
To me, when I think about growing the game, I think about seeing others do the sport that I love the most and giving them the opportunity to do the sport I love the most. So I love going out and volunteering and helping with kids. Even I love helping adults too. I'll go and there's people at my home course who they'll be like, "Hey Ashley, can you look at my swing, please?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." I'll be on the range, just minding my own business, just practicing. They're like, "Ashley, we need help." I'm like, "Okay, I'll come help you." So I definitely enjoy seeing people play the game that I love, and I even want to be a part of like having events to help kids be a part of this game, like having tournaments, having youth clinics, all those types of things, to give them the opportunity to play this wonderful game, because it's a game that a lot of people are starting to know more about, but it's not the most popular sport.
Yeah.
A lot of kids, they're like, "I'm gonna play basketball, I'm gonna play soccer, football."
Yeah.
They don't really think about golf as an option. So I definitely want to be that role model and leader, and to be able to help kids to be like, maybe I should pick up golf, let me try it. So having those clinics, having those types of tournaments to be able to give them that chance to see, golf is a cool game, and let me see what I can do with it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's unreal. She really is. I mean, you're so well spoken,
Well, thank
and
you.
I could tell that you're just such a hard worker. And golf is a sport, at least that's what I believe, it just requires almost a constant attention. Like your passion for the journey and of becoming better, it just takes a lot of work.
It does.
It really does.
It does. And it's a game
And
where
you're alone.
you're out there alone, and golf knows no season either.
Yeah.
So even when it's 110 outside, well, it just means I guess we're getting up early this morning
exactly.
to beat the heat. So sometimes it's 5:30 just to be out there when it's 85 instead of 95.
Yeah. Well, let's get into your practice schedule. What's your schedule like now? What is an ideal week for you that has no competition?
I was going to say, that's kind of different.
That's tough.
Usually for me, when it's this hot outside, like she was saying,
Yeah.
if we can be at the course at 5:30, I am happy.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually in a skirt and a jacket at that time of day, but by 6:30, the jacket's off.
Yeah,
We're
for
done.
sure.
And so I like to go out, practice, I tend to start at the range because I don't really want to be hitting big shots in 110 degrees.
Smart.
So I tend to hit the big shots first, and then I go to the short game area. Short game is really important. Gotta get that chipping and putting.
yeah.
'Cause you can hit as far as you want, but if you can't get the ball in the hole, it doesn't matter.
Does not matter.
Definitely working on those things, and then I tend to go out and play a few holes, and if I'm not playing, I try to be done practicing by about 10, just because around 10 is when it starts to get to about 100 degrees. So summertime, that's my schedule. If the other time of year, when it's a little cooler, I can practice for a little bit longer outside. So summertime, it's a little different.
Yeah. Are we getting out there every day?
Oh, yeah.
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 Wow.
Unless we're on a plane. That's different.
Yeah, of course. So I think I remember you saying, Sylvia, that putting was the best part of her game. And I mean, Ashley, you hit the ball 300 plus yards. And so it's very refreshing and impressive that the flat stick is the best part of your game, because you can rely on the big stick, but you've obviously put the time in with the putter. So what are some things you can tell the listener that has helped you the most with becoming a better putter?
I think the thing with me that has helped me the most with putting is the importance of speed. Because there's some greens that it's like, I just can't figure out the break. I just can't figure it out. But if you have the right speed, it doesn't matter. You have a tap in still. So if you think it's going to break hard left, for example, okay, I'm not quite sure though. Is it straight though, or does it go hard left? Let me just make sure I hit the putt 15 feet, 20 feet, no matter what. And then if I miss it, I have a 2-foot putt, clean up, and I'm done. So speed is definitely the most important thing, aim second. And so if you can't figure out the break, it's fine. Don't stress about it. Just make sure you get the ball to the hole with good speed.
Absolutely. Sylvia, when you guys are competing together, what's your role when it comes to being on the green? Are you giving her reads every putt? Are you waiting for her to call you in?
That's a great question because actually we're probably starting to read at the same time. And a lot of times she's on the opposite side of the hole that I am. And she might point this way or this way. Is it high on this side or high on that side? And I usually do wait for her and I'll say, what do you think? And I won't tell her what I think. I want to hear what she's thinking first. And either I agree or, yes, that's right, but, don't aim outside the hole or, but I try to let her, I don't want to cloud what she sees, or kind of steer her thinking. I want her to think herself and then I'll give my input on what it should be.
We have your mom here, but what has your dad brought to your game and your journey with golf?
So it's a funny story. A lot of people don't know this. My dad actually was my full-time caddy for a long time.
Oh no, you already retired.
Long time. And there was one event he couldn't come to. It was in Tucson. It was a LPGA Founders Junior Golf National Championship qualifier the first year. And I think, so apparently, I don't remember this, but apparently I cried knowing he couldn't caddy for me. I don't remember that.
I was thoroughly insulted because she
I
knew
know,
I was going to be the caddy.
I don't remember that. I was 11. Apparently I cried.
She said no.
And so my mom and we went. First time she ever caddied for me. I knew if I won, I'm going to be playing on Golf Channel. And so I'm like, this is the one time you can't caddy for me. Okay, this is fine though. And I went and we shot 10 under? Was it 10 under?
No. That's a different one.
No, I shot 69 the first day, and then I think I shot like 70 the second day or something like that.
So really good
shot.
shot.
It was a playoff for the first. And I remember calling my dad. I was like, I'm in a playoff. And he's like, for what?
Wow, you really disassociated fast.
For what? And I said, to play on Golf Channel. He's like, okay, that's kind of crazy. You're just gonna do that without me? Like that's kind of crazy. And I'm like, well, I mean, we're in Tucson. So my mom caddied for me that event, and ever since then she's been my caddy. But my dad is still. A lot of people think he's not involved as much anymore. He's still just as involved. He's always there at all of my tournaments when we travel. He's extremely helpful when it comes to practice rounds because he'll often walk down there and try to stand where he thinks I should hit while we're at the tee box. So we're all just one big team, and we make the most of it.
This is so great. And again, I've played with you a couple times now, and I do see your mom's walking with you, and I do see your dad up, always ahead of us, and he's always there.
Yes.
So it's so sweet.
I always know where my ball is.
Yeah.
He's always down there.
He has the best eyes in the family, so it helps.
It's so great. Okay, so let's talk schedule. How do you guys determine your schedule throughout the year, tournament-wise?
So the way, like the American Junior Golf Association is a key part of our schedule. And the way it's set up, you have to earn stars from other tournaments in order to play in JGAA tournaments. You can only play 5 unless you get on an invitational schedule, which is what they call it. So based on how many stars we have, that kind of determines what we can get into. And I was just thinking earlier, it was probably about a year or so ago, we had a conversation with Ashley because she was struggling. She wasn't getting as many stars. And we said, well, this is the way it is at this point in the journey. It's not mom and dad can just, pay and get you in the tournament. You actually have to earn the currency in the form of the stars. And that's based on you playing and performing well in other tournaments. So that dictates a lot of what we do. Actually, when she played match play with you, Ashley just won Steph Curry's underrated golf tour. And so that we play in the summer. So that's kind of set just based on whatever schedule they've established for that. And we just build around it. We play some amateur events. Last year we played the Southwestern Amateur, which was really fun. I think they just concluded that last week, or maybe yesterday. But playing in amateur events when we can. We play in USGA qualifiers, just really trying to broaden her horizons and play, like you said, California. We spent a good amount of time in California.
We spent so much time in California. Those girls thought I lived there.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
They
did.
You're not from California? I said, no, I'm from Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm not from California. Trust me.
It's just so easy to get
we
over
were
there.
seeking out her to, because we look at the leaderboards and we're like, all the California girls are at the top of the leaderboard. Well, why don't we go explore and see what they have going on over there? And we found out.
Yeah.
We found out, and there's a lot of great golf there.
Yeah.
Amazing courses, and like you said, it's really easy to get to there. So it just made a pretty simple day trip to get.
So are you, again, just trying to get in as many competitions as possible, or are you still being selective?
It's still a very selective process
Yeah.
because there's so many events.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, I could probably play an event every single day.
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
so many
So
options to choose from. So I'm still being very selective about what I play in, but also wanting to play in events that'll give me the most exposure to, colleges and decision makers, all those types of things. So it's still very important to pick which events you're playing very carefully, but I also do like playing a lot and competing with some of the best kids. And so I am the one trying to play an event as much as I can. She's sometimes like, no, you can't do that. We're not playing.
Because I'm tired.
Yeah, so sometimes that's how the conversations go.
So we try to be strategic, when we're choosing what to play in. And we're still learning a lot, things like Wagger points and all of those things, amateur rankings. I mean, it's because a lot of people maybe had family members or others in the industry and in the game. Well, we started from nothing.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
so-
bet half the listeners don't even, Wagger is a foreign
Language,
word to a lot of
yeah,
people.
yeah.
It's very complicated. So, it's definitely a learning process. Competition-wise, Sylvia, what do you think Ashley's biggest lesson was out in tournament golf?
In tournament
far.
golf,
Yeah, what was her biggest lesson she had to learn?
I would say and she's just now learning it. She's
Okay.
doing a good job doing it. But just understanding that just because you're the longest one off the tee doesn't necessarily equate to a lower score. And that accuracy is much more important than distance.
Yeah.
And because you can hit it far, but you can hit it far into the parking lot, and that's not going to help you. So I think that's one of the biggest things that she's coming into, really understanding that, let me make sure I get the ball in the fairway, because I have a much better chance of parring or birdieing that hole if I'm in the fairway,
Yeah.
as opposed to hitting from behind a tree.
Yeah.
Ashley, how's your relationship been with your driver? Do you...
Lately, pretty well. Actually,
You really?
Because I have
Okay.
a lot of drivers.
Yeah.
So lately, my driver has been my best friend right now.
Yeah, so you get that club in your hand and you're confident.
Yes.
Was there a time that you weren't confident?
Oh, for sure.
That's
But
the worst.
I think we all kind of go through that time where it's
Yeah.
like that one club that we just couldn't miss with,
Yeah.
and now it's just not quite it, and then the next week it's your best friend again.
Yeah.
So
You just never know.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So you were, again, your LPGA debut was what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
It was the weekend of Mother's Day. So
Okay, so almost a month ago.
yeah.
What now? I mean, it's what do you reach for now? What are you really striving to, what's the next big step for you?
I think a lot of people, would expect me to say my next big step is a certain event or things
Yeah.
like that. But for me, we were talking about growing the game. That's my biggest
Yeah.
passion. Even if I may not become the best that there is, I want to give someone else that opportunity. And so being that inspiration to others and being that role model so they can see someone who is doing something that they want to do, that's what I definitely want to be. That's my next big
Yeah.
step, is being that inspiration for someone else.
Yeah. Oh. Sylvia, you did such a good job. I'm sorry.
And it's so funny because even yesterday, she'd been bugging me for weeks. She's a part of the first Sea of Phoenix, and she loves to volunteer. And she knows we have a busy schedule, so she went and looked up the calendar because they have summer camps during the summer, and she's like, Mom, can you please take me to go volunteer? This is the only day this summer I may be able to go. So we went out to Augusta Ranch yesterday just so that she
Which
could.
is an hour and 8 minutes from my house.
Yeah, that's far from you. Yeah.
But it was what she wanted
Yeah,
to
she
do.
needed to fill that tank.
She needed
It's like,
to.
it just
yeah.
bothers me sometimes. Like
Yeah,
I remember
it
I
does.
was sitting in my room one day. I think it was like a month ago. I was like, I have not volunteered and helped like any kids in like 3 months. Like this is just really bothering me. So that's when I looked it up online. I'm like, what is a day I can go and volunteer? Because it just, and being out there with them yesterday, it made me so happy. Even I was watching a 7-year-old kid, and he said he's been playing for like a year, and he was hitting his driver 180.
It's amazing.
Dead straight. And I'm like, this is what I want to see. I want to see them, like they're asking me questions. They're asking me things on how can I fix this about my swing? What's going on? Why is my ball doing this? Why am I not making contact with the ball at all? And I love being asked those questions. Like, okay, let me help you. And then seeing when they do it, and they're like, I did it. Like, it just seeing their faces light up when they do it, it just makes me so
my God.
happy.
I can't even imagine how much you're inspiring them to take their next step. So that's so great. And don't worry, you'll have your car in less than a year now. So you'll be able to go do that as many times as you want.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. It seems like you should have a car by now. You've accomplished so much. Oh gosh. So how about college? Is it that time to like start exploring like where you want to go, where that path is, or?
Yeah, so I definitely right now so I have a year until I can start talking to coaches, almost exactly a year from tomorrow. So it's definitely, I never imagined this day coming that fast. I just remember being 8, like now I'm like in a year I can commit somewhere for college. And that's definitely a crazy thought, but I definitely want to put myself, like this upcoming year, put myself in that position so I can be an option for whatever colleges may want me to play for their team. So that's definitely the biggest thing for this year, put myself in that position so I can be ready to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Play
Absolutely.
college ball. Yeah.
Well, we'll end with this. You said that acting is another passion.
Yes.
So how do you fill that tank up? How do you embrace that when golf is a big time sucker?
It's very interesting because I really want to do a lot of theater and all that stuff, but where I live, there's nothing nearby for me to do that. So most of my acting is either done on my computer or my iPad or in the mirror in my room by myself. So I have a big imagination. So my imagination just takes over. And there's sometimes where I'm with my friends and we'll like make like the silliest type skits and type of stuff like that. And it's just fun. We just do it for fun. But my goal is when I'm done playing golf, that's what I would love to be doing. And so just preparing myself as best as I can right now, so when I'm done, I can be ready to take off.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was younger, actually, I think it was like 5. When I used to,
you put on the shows?
Yes, I used to put on shows for my parents when I was 5.
Oh yeah, I did
4
too.
or 5 years old, I used to
yeah.
set up the chairs. I made little tickets, and I'd hand them out, and I'd say, "You can come to my show."
Yeah.
And so I've been that way since I was little,
Yeah.
and so it's just I'm waiting for the right time.
Yeah, I did my own shows too. Parents watched a lot of them. Oh my goodness. Well, Sylvia, what are your parting thoughts on Ashley's golf career so far and what's ahead of her?
My parting thoughts are I'm excited to see what else is ahead for her. It's been incredible watching her grow as a person, as a golfer. And even though I don't golf, just seeing the opportunities that golf has allowed her to have. And, I love her passion for wanting to share the game because I think this game changes lives.
Yeah,
I do.
I agree.
I do.
Well, Ashley, I cannot wait till we can get back on the golf course together. It will happen. It will happen soon because I'm sure you're going to just be playing more and more state events. Hopefully they fit in your schedule. And I'm sure we will meet back on that tee box soon.
We have to.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming here and being on the show. I so appreciate it. We'll have to have you back on maybe in a year to give us an update.
Yes.
Because
That'd
I'm
be
sure
fun.
this next year is just going to be as much of a whirlwind as last year was.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you.